This week on Here for the Right Reasons, Clare Crawley got her happy ending as she and Dale Moss are officially engaged.
Clare, will you marry me?
Yes.
Tayshia's love story begins as she becomes the new Bachelorette.
Tayshia,
Surprise.
what are you doing here?
I don't know.
Plus, Clare's BFF and Bachelor Nation's own Michelle Money on how producers gave Clare a bad edit and had a plan for Tayshia all along.
The way that they're editing this storyline is so out of context that it's just so frustrating as her friend to just sit by and be like, you guys have like no moral compass.
We've got that plus so much more on today's Here for the Right Reasons. Hey guys, Christina Garibaldi here with Us Weekly senior writer Sarah Heron. Hi Sarah, how are you?
Christina, I don't know how to feel, but I'm happy to be here to talk about this episode with you. Oh my God.
Oh my God, welcome to Here for the Right Reasons. This was probably the most dramatic, crazy episode in Bachelorette history of all time. I mean, this definitely will go down in the record books.
It was definitely unprecedented, uncharted territory. We got a fantasy suite, we got a proposal, and we got a new season all in one episode.
All in one episode. They were really jam-packed. So let's get right to it. Let's get to our bracket of roses and break this all down. Because like we said last week, this is unlike anything we have ever seen before. I mean, I can't believe we got a proposal.
I mean, after approximately 12 days, I think somewhere in this 2-week window, I got to go back and crunch the numbers. But either way, we got a proposal.
Yes. So take a look.
Let's watch.
And most importantly, you've shown me that you would never run away and never leave me. And I've never, ever had a man that would stay. And you continue to show up for me.
Crazy. So, I mean, there were so many things I was thinking about going through this. And, you know, it was like, are they really in love? Did Chris Harrison just pressure him to do this? I couldn't really make up my mind. I really hope that they are so happy and so in love, but there were so many different things going through my head.
There definitely felt like some pressure. And I think any Bachelor season would say that and lead because that's the show. So I think we'd be lying to ourselves if we didn't say that Dale felt some sort of pressure in that moment from Chris Harrison when he brought up the proposal. I mean, he definitely laughed a little bit. Like, I was like, oh, that's not the best reaction, Dale, but maybe he's just nervous. I don't know.
I kind of expected them to just leave and start dating and just, you know, kind of live their life and feel like, and see if this is something that they really wanted. I was not expecting a proposal at all.
I was expecting them to leave and go off to another part of the resort and then us like check in and then maybe them get engaged at the end. So then they would have had like a solid couple weeks in their own little world, like a paradise. And then maybe during Tayshia's finale, they would have been like, by the way, they're engaged if you care. Or like watch this like extra web moment to watch Clare and Dale get engaged, like a bonus scene or something. I didn't think it was going to be this fast either.
No, but it's almost like producers wanted to wrap this up in a little bow and just send it off and like, not pretend it never happened, but move on to Tayshia and just kind of forget about it, I guess.
They certainly pressed restart. And I think it's so interesting because I just watched Tayshia on Jimmy Kimmel and she said she never even talked to Clare. So there was no interaction between them. She didn't get any tips about the guys. They never, whatever. Like it just blows my mind. Like the moving parts behind the scenes must have been insane.
It must have been insane. Yeah, there were like two ships just passing in the night. Like, and then like Tayshia moved into Clare's room, and then they just started all over again. It really is weird. So we both watched their Instagram live. Following the proposal. I mean, watching the episodes, do we feel like this relationship is legit? Do we think it's going to last?
You know, it's always such a tricky question when we're talking about Bachelor couples. I do think there's love there. I think it's part love, part lust, part whirlwind. I don't know if they're going to last. I will say the one thing that usually breaks up a lot of Bachelor couples is watching the show back and seeing, you know, what you were saying to other guys, how, you know, if they slept with someone else in the fantasy suite. And I think that's a huge hurdle. And they don't have that problem because Clare didn't develop relationships with anyone else. And they kind of threw away the show and took a risk for each other. So if they do break up, it will be because they just weren't right for each other, not because they met in a weird way. Like in the weirdest way that almost like saved their potential relationship because she didn't say anything about anyone else.
That's so true. Like she knew from the moment he stepped out of the limo that he was the one. I mean, she was doing her research. I mean, she admitted that much. She was doing her research before she came on the show and knew that this was somebody that she really wanted to get to know and had that maybe in her mind going into this, like he was the one, and she kind of made it happen. It was kind of strange, like for me, like during the whole proposal and even when she's talking to Chris Harrison, like, you know, Dale constantly shows up for me. But you've only known him for 12, like when has he shown up? Besides the fact when, you know, when Yosef was like making like bad comments to her, that was kind of the only time. But I'm like, you've only known him for 12 days.
I thought the same thing. It's like, okay, you can say he showed up for the season, which so did a lot of people. And I think anyone would as a way to get out of their house. And he showed up in that moment, which we don't know if producers were like, go Dale, this is your moment, Superman, fly in. And also he's at La Quinta Resort with nowhere to go and nothing to do and only Clare on the brain. Like, I would have shown up for you too, Clare, but I wasn't invited. Like it's a lot. I get what she means, but it's hard for us to, as we've seen snippets of it, to even understand what that could possibly mean in a real life scenario.
Right. I mean, this process works. I mean, a ton of other people have gotten engaged, have had relationships, and they say once you're in that bubble, feelings develop very quickly. I mean, maybe not this quickly as quickly as we've seen this, but I mean, it happens. And it seems like Bachelor Nation is really excited for them. Chris Harrison sent well wishes. Ari sent well wishes. Benoit, you know. It seems like people are really, really excited for her.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy also to just like, they do seem very infatuated with each other. Maybe her so a little bit more than him. Maybe that was the edit. You know, we don't want to speak for them. I don't think he would still be with her. They're house hunting, he said on their Instagram. So they're clearly making plans to move forward. And if they do break up, I do worry about the backlash from people. Everyone remember this is a television show and we're getting more episodes, so it's okay. My most like weird, uncomfortable moment about their whole relationship was when they were like saying I love you, but then she had to like tell him her parents' names.
Yes.
I was like, so they're all in, but because I was like on board for a second. I was like, you know what? Love at first sight is real. This is amazing. Like Married at First Sight happens. Love is Blind. We've seen it. This could work. And then she was like, oh yeah, my parents, their names are. And he was like, well, mine are this. Like they were bonding in a sweet moment about their similar backgrounds, but they didn't even know them really. Like that was when I was like, all right, I can't fall for this.
You know, and then I also noticed like every time or not every time, but a few times when guys get down on one knee and propose, they always say the full names. Like,
yes, and she didn't say her middle name.
Know the middle name. I'm like, does he even know her last name? Like what?
I thought the same thing. I was like, what's her middle name? I was waiting for it. Maybe she doesn't have one.
Maybe not. But you know what? We wish them all the best. You know, I really, really hope this works out. She has wanted love for so long. And I mean, she said it a million times that she has been waiting for this. She did not settle, and she's been waiting for a guy like Dale. So I really hope it does work out for her.
The best part about The Bachelor, I always say, is we always find out. No matter what happens, we're going to be following them and we're going to figure it out. So I can't wait, honestly.
Well, with Clare and Dale enjoying their honeymoon phase, that means a new Bachelorette is on board, and that is Tayshia. I mean, we didn't really get to see too much of it. It was only a couple minutes, but what did you think of her big entrance?
Yeah, I was a little sad that we didn't even get to see her like meet the guys. I guess it would have been maybe like sensory overload, like going from buying this proposal to then like full on like, all right, we're over you, Clare, like maybe a little disrespectful. So I guess that's why they did it that way. But I liked her coming out of the limo. She looked gorgeous. Clare, by the way, looked insane during the whole episode, like beautiful. Her skin is just next level. And Tayshia looked good too. I thought it was interesting, the whole big debate of the guys, like who's gonna stay, who's gonna go. Like you're all gonna stay, relax.
You've been here for 2 weeks. Like half of you didn't even talk to Clare, so I think you're gonna stay.
Yeah, it was like, don't act like Blake Moynes, I guess, and Jason were the ones who had the one-on-one dates and like kind of emotional conversations with Clare, or maybe Blake got the kiss and Jason had the one-on-one. But there was no chance that they all weren't going to stay. Like, who wouldn't want to know who they're bringing in and stuff too? Like,
right, definitely. And I know that they did like a little teaser leading up, and it feels like they are going to bring in new guys, which we had reporting on a couple months ago.
Yeah, I think it's like 4 to 6. I want to say. I think they brought in maybe 6 guys, and I think they might have sent out 4 based on like the quarantine situation. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to find out if Tayshia connects with anyone who Clare like wrote off. Like I don't even remember most of their names because we never saw them.
Yeah, because we never saw them. I literally have no idea. But yeah, I think, and they did like a full teaser, and it looks like it's going to be, of course, a dramatic, fun season, and she kisses a lot of them. So
yeah, they did.
wait and see. But it's weird, like we said before, like they literally hit the reset button and we're gonna have to start all over again.
It's kind of insane. And I thought it was interesting when the guy, like debating on which guy like took it the best, like Kenny with his like V-neck and his tattoos getting all upset. And it's like, if I was Tayshia watching that, I'd be like a little weird about it. Like imagine she has a connection with Kenny and now she sees he was like kind of getting like angry at Clare. Like I'd love to know what Tayshia was thinking during those first couple episodes. Totally. So I hope maybe she'll say that.
I hope so too. Well, that kind of brings us into our cringe moment of the week. And there were definitely a few of them. It's hard to kind of narrow it down because, we talked about a couple of them. Even watching it for me during this whole thing when we were talking, like, I don't know really how to feel. Is this legit? Is this not? And if you don't feel like it's legit, then the whole episode was cringeworthy, I feel like.
Totally. But a big one is Clare breaking up with her 16 remaining contestants. Let's watch that.
From the bottom of my heart, I mean it when I say every word of this. I'll apologize if I wasted your time. I'll apologize if I hurt you. But I'm not going to apologize for love.
I love that she broke up with 16 guys before she got engaged.
It was, I respect her for doing it. I think maybe the show encouraged that because imagine if she just never came back the way Dale just never came back. I love that the guys were like, oh, maybe she sent Dale home. Like that can't be what happened. Like they had no idea.
They had no idea. He was on a fantasy suite date. They had no idea.
He literally spent the night with Clare, with their girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, their bachelorette. And they were like, oh, she sent him home. Like she found out he's not a good guy, which I think they were creating this false narrative in their head that Dale maybe wasn't a good person because they had no actual facts. They just kind of said it.
Yeah, they had no idea. But yeah, like you said before, when Kenny was kind of like, you need to apologize to us. And she's like, what do I have to apologize for? This is what I came here for. I found it. I'm not going to waste your time.
I know. The thing about the show is it's like there are two purposes of the show. One is to find love and another is to entertain us. And technically Clare did both. She just didn't follow the quote unquote rules. So we didn't get enough of it. But at the same time, like how boring would this season have been if they just cut out all the obvious Dale stuff?
Right. And if she didn't want to, kiss any of these other guys, go on dates with any of these other guys, then what's the point? She's just going to fake it and we're going to notice it. And, it's just going to be a boring season.
Right. The real star of this episode, though, was Chris Harrison.
Oh, my God. I love this. This wasn't really cringeworthy, but more so, like, I just loved everything about this moment. When he's, like, dropping F-bombs and grilling Clare about whether or not she talked to Dale before the show. Take a look.
Can I ask you a very honest question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk at all before the show?
Not one bit, not one word. I swear on my dad's grave, not one single word, not one single contact.
I just love this. This is real Chris Harrison.
Chris Harrison is the only man for this job. He's part therapist, part investigator, part journalist, part father figure. He really managed to kind of grill Clare, but comfort Clare, get Dale in line to propose, calm down the other guys, bring in Tayshia. Like, he really is good at his job.
I love when he wiped away his single tear when when he started crying with Clare. But it does bring up a really good question. They swear, on everything that they didn't talk beforehand. Do you believe it?
Oh God, I'm so split. There's a huge part of me that's like, they had to, right? Like had to, like this doesn't make any sense. I know for a fact that her hair salon was following Dale on Instagram. I saw it over the summer, like with my own eyes. But another part of me is like, I think a reason this happened is because Clare had it so in her head, this dream of Dale, this anticipation of meeting Dale, the picture she painted based on his Instagram, I think is what made her so in love with him. And what could he have said over a DM that would have, given her those feelings? So they either didn't talk at all or had a full-fledged FaceTime relationship. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think there's any in between. She fell in love with his backstory before she even knew him. And she felt like they had a lot of things in common. It seems like the way their parents fell in love was also something that they had in common too. So, I guess when she knew, she knew. So
yeah, again, we're going to find out, but that parent moment, it was like so cute at one point, and then he didn't know their names, and I was like, all right, like we got to be realistic here, and it is moving fast, but it's also just The Bachelor, right? Like technically Clare and Dale probably spent the same amount of time that other contestants do with their frontrunner, just in a shorter time period.
That is very
He got like the hour-long a break during a group date. He got a one-on-one last night, a fantasy suite. Like overall, when you add up the numbers of when you do the full season, it's probably around the same.
That's so true. I mean, the guys did say they're like, Dale's been gone for like 18 hours. That's probably more than anybody has ever spent with the lead. So
Totally.
Yeah. All right. Well, now many people have come to Clare's defense over the past few weeks about the constant criticism she has been receiving. And she definitely received a lot. I feel like maybe she kind of redeemed herself a little bit, or maybe producers kind of gave her a little bit of a bone last night, but it hasn't really been pretty up to this point.
No, it's like we had a really high with Clare from the premiere. Then the next 2 episodes were like, oh God. And then this one was, I feel like Choose Your Own Adventure. Some people loved it. Other people still don't like her. But one of Clare's friends, Michelle Money, who was obviously on Brad Womack's season with Bachelor in Paradise with Clare, I spoke to her about the bad edit and her conspiracy theory that they had Tayshia waiting in the wings from day one. Take a look.
And that's the thing. We all know this, and we all, have seen this show enough to know that there is editing involved. But it feels to me like they had a plan and they were executing the plan of, and listen, I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad plan. Clare obviously fell in love with Dale really quickly. But the irony is that like is it Tayshia?
Yeah, it's Tayshia.
Okay, I didn't watch her season, so I don't even know anything about her. But Tayshia had to have come in and quarantined before even filming. So they have this girl already on standby, quarantining before they even know what's going on with Clare and Dale. So it just feels like what was going on behind the scenes that Clare had no idea was going on, that was completely manipulated and produced. And that's what pisses me off about this show.
So do you think that they had Tayshia as like a backup plan? Because
100%.
because Clare has had, we saw her get engaged on Winter Games. We've seen her, kind of have quick romances. So maybe they were thinking her history, or I heard Robert Mills say the other day that she's, unpredictable, and that's why we wanted her. But then maybe it was the backup plan, or did they just want this to happen? Like, how did they do it?
I don't know that we'll ever know the answer to that, but I do think that Clare, and this is again why we love Clare, she does not I think they could tell from night one with Dale that there was strong chemistry there. And knowing that Clare's not going to lead people on and not going to play the game of like, let's, pretend like we're interested in everyone and then, drop everyone with a big, that's not how Clare works. So there's, this part of me that just thinks that they know Clare well enough to know that she's into Dale. This is going to be about Dale. Maybe we need to have someone as a backup. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I mean, that moment when Dale came out of the limo in the premiere and you watched her say, I just met my husband. She's described the moment as breathtaking, love at first sight. As her friend watching that, are you immediately like, oh, let's go, I'm all in? Or are you a little like, whoa, slow down, girl? Because it's like you want to root for her, but at the same time, you're just like, oh, are we sure? Or do you believe in that? Like, where do you stand with that?
Well, it's so hard for me because I do know her. And Clare isn't someone who's just going to and listen, I will say, I do think that the advantage here is that she was able to go and look at everyone's Instagram feed before they even started filming. And it's like, you do just get a sense of what someone's like by your Instagram feed, by who you're following, what you're liking. And she had that advantage. They never spoke, they never communicated. But I think that she probably, already had some idea of what Dale was kind of about, which makes it a lot easier when you see that person and have that connection and it's kind of verified. You're like, okay.
I mean, we did kind of talk about this a little bit at the top. I mean, it feels like they did push Dale to do this proposal. Like we said, kind of wrap things up and move, and then have Tayshia kind of come on because it moved very, very quickly.
Yeah, and the quarantine aspect of it all, if this was a normal time of the year or world, I wouldn't question quite as much when they brought Tayshia in, how planned this was. The Bachelor producers swear it wasn't planned. Clare has some tweets implying that maybe there was something in the works. I'm kind of coming from the set of the moment producers heard Clare gush about Dale based off his Instagram, maybe the wheels were turning and they were like, we know Clare based on her past history on this show. She's not afraid to jump in. Mm-hmm. They're not going to have to worry about that. So I think maybe they did have Tayshia on speed dial. Mm-hmm. make sure you'll have a negative coronavirus test. Don't leave your house for this month. If we don't end up using you, we'll give you some sort of trade-off. Yeah. But like, you kind of work for us, lay low for the next month and don't do anything stupid. And then we're going to bring you in.
It makes you think, like, do they always have a backup bachelorette? Like, is
like a backbone.
Right. Yeah. Seriously.
Like,
I wonder if something like to this would ever happen, if they, if they do have somebody on standby at all times, which is kind of crazy to even think about. But I think Robert Mills spoke to Variety and said that, I think episode 2 or 3 is when he realized, okay, this is not going to be a TV show. We can't make a TV show out of the Dale and Clare love story. And these guys are checking out.
I just think it's going to be really interesting to see how this changes the show moving forward. They came out and they said they're confident Matt James will be the only Bachelor. Yeah. But and he didn't even get to watch Clare's season, so he didn't really know what happened. I feel like you always kind of see things change based off the season before. They take cues. They're like, well, this person didn't have to do that. This person didn't have to do that. Rachel Lindsay has said that. She was like, I saw Andy Dorfman didn't do this, so I wasn't going to do it. Like, certain things are changing, and they're just going to have to. If they didn't have the bat phone ready with the backup, they're going to need it now. I don't think they're ever going to let themselves be caught like this again. I mean, way to go, Clare. I mean, like Chris Harrison said, she blew up the Bachelorette. I mean, she kind of changed the format, flipped the format. So, and we've been talking about it for so long that they needed to really switch things up a little bit. And she did. I mean, we got our happy ending. This is what we want. We want to see a love story. I mean, we just got it in a very short period of time. Absolutely. How did you feel about the Tayshia promos with all the rumors and like the dress? I mean, she looked stunning. I loved. I mean, she looked gorgeous. I mean, it's rumors that we all knew. So, I mean, we've known about this for months. So, but I liked it. I think they did a really nice job with it. I mean, she's gorgeous. So, and that kind of brings us up to our Where Are They Now segment. So we thought it would be fun to actually catch you up on Tayshia's dating history. And she's had a pretty extensive dating history. A lot of people may not remember that she was actually married. Yeah, I think it's so interesting and kind of relatable. She was married to her college sweetheart. I think that a lot of people, that's an option for them. They were married for around a year. They got divorced in 2017. She started dating this model, Chase. And that was a little bit of a scandal that I feel like people don't really talk about, but he kind of came out and was like, we were dating right before she left to film Colton's season. We kind of got married. So I don't know how I feel about that, but then obviously we met her on Colton Underwood's season. Right, met her on Colton Underwood's season. She made it to the final 3, and then obviously he sent her home when he jumped the fence to be with Cassie, and then she went on Bachelor in Paradise, and that is when she met John Paul Jones, and they dated for a little bit after Paradise, but then they ended up breaking up. Right, with Paradise, wasn't it? It was like a Derek, John Paul Jones love triangle. It was a very weird love triangle. I mean, her and John Paul Jones were They were nice in theory, but I think we all knew that wasn't going to last. He has also come out and supported her. So at least she's on good terms with all these guys. That's a good sign. It definitely is. It definitely seems like it. And it definitely seems like, based on the promos, that she does talk a lot about her divorce, and she doesn't want to make the same mistake twice. And so she really is looking for love, and she wants to settle down, and hopefully it works out for her. You know me, I'm messy. I want the ex-husband to come out, give us the background. Producers have him on standby too. So. All right, well, we are going to break it down each and every week right here on Here for the Right Reasons, every Wednesday on Us Weekly's YouTube channel. Yes, of course, this was a special episode this week, but next week we will be back to Wednesdays. So Sarah and I will be breaking it all down. Keep commenting, keep subscribing, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you.